I like it. I like it.
I'm going to combine like a couple of different topics, and it won't be in any chronological order, so just bear with me. One thing that conscious will talk about is pandering, and me as a Black gay man, for me, love shows up as different. There's no sex attached to my care for Black women. So I would say for me as a child, one of the strongest women that were within my life was my grandmother. She was someone who, she loved me with everything. She was someone who made sure that whenever I walk into a room, know that, you know, I'm not trying to sound cocky or nothing, but eyes will be on you. People will be listening to you. Whatever you want to be in your life, you can be, whether that be a president, a CEO, whether you own your own business, whether you be a millionaire, anything you want to do, you can do. And with that, my grandmother was someone, she was a banker. You know, she was someone who, she helped her community. All the people from Arkansas, Little Rock, Arkansas, North Little Rock, Arkansas, she knew all the millionaires. She knew all the business owners. She told people yes, no. She ran her bank. She ran her branch. She had people pull guns out on her and trying to rob her. That same woman who left work, she was someone who raised two strong sons. My father's a federal investigator. My uncle, my late uncle, he was a manager of the VA for the suicide unit. She was someone who raised strong Black men. And the same Black men that she supported, the same Black man that she fed that was also her husband, also be the same people that put their thumb on their motherfucking head. You know? So what I'm trying to say is someone who can be so strong. We also live where we're in a community where traditionally, once a white man took his thumb off of us, a lot of us put our thumb on the woman. So one thing that you talked about as far as like your dad and how you treated your mother, I feel like one privilege it is to not be gay. Not gonna lie, I love being gay. Like, you know, like whether it's not a choice, it's not a choice, it's not a choice. But in my life, what I feel is, you know, it was karma for the straight men, and also like to reject what patriarchy and masculinity look like, because I had to choose how I'm going to live my life. So, you know how you were talking about how your dad, he was real good with his mom, he was real good with his sisters.
And me as a child.
Yes. A lot of men, they just live based off of the moral code. You don't even know what your own motherfucking morals are. Right. A lot of you just want to have children because that's what you're taught to. You didn't get no education. You're not saying you have to get education. You have no craft. You have no skill. So all you can do is really just have fun and have children. Nigga, fuck you.
Let's go ahead and get into it a little bit, man. What are you guys thinking about what he said?
They always find a bitch to start snapping his goddamn fingers. That's what I was waiting for. So, God damn.
They always find a way to put a woman in a man's conversation about man issues. And this time, the Trojan horse was that sissy. I hate it.
Well, he's on his side.
Right next to him,
he relates to him.
It's another one right next to him.
So,
Willie, you are a combat veteran, correct?
Maybe. Depends on who's asking. No, but yeah, what's up?
My bad. But I have never been in the military. I have multiple relatives that are very influential in my life that have been in the military. But if I tried to get into a conversation with you and your other veteran buddies that you may have served with, I would look like a fool. And I would be asked or maybe thrown out of the conversation. And the best thing that I could do is either in that conversation become invisible or just listen. That's the first thing that I thought of when I saw this. If we have different particular goals, or if we want to see a future in a different way, it doesn't necessarily serve us. We just actually going in circles having a conversation, and it'll actually take everything off of the rails just by me being in a conversation trying to debate you about the military when I have no experience. Only people trying to tell me and me trying to absorb through osmosis their experience. It makes no sense.
Yeah.
So you saying because he's gay, he doesn't have any say so in the conversation?
No, not just because he's gay, because he's the feminine kind of gay. He's not the guy that's just a regular guy like you, Trev, Hink, that likes man. He's the kind of gay that emulates feminine quality and tries to be. You know, and he's a 6'2" version of a sisterhood. The only thing that he hasn't done to become trans is just start dressing as a woman. Like he left his wig at home for the show. So I don't. Those people have no place in these conversations. Like none of them.
Is there any truth to what he said? Are you on mute just so you know, Fresh? You on mute, Fresh? Is there any truth to what he said?
Well, it's kind of hard to say if there's any truth because he didn't really define anything. He just said one of the things he said is that the white man took their hand off and then black men put their thumb on the black woman. But what does that even mean to be able to validate if his statement is true or not, right? And then he has an issue with something that he didn't even necessarily go through, in the sense he says he said that he identifies as a gay black man, but then he comes back and says I have to live my life how I choose, right? So even in that statement, it is a conundrum that he's making that statement and then trying to state that he knows how black men are treating black women, but doesn't actually say what putting our thumb on them is. So it's kind of hard to say that what he's saying is accurate.
All right.
Yeah, I was you? I'm Dad. Was you done? I'm back. Yeah, the fact that he thinks the white man took it off and men put it on is crazy. Black men didn't get that much difference than the black women. We got all treated the same. So what was the goddamn difference of how we holding them? I assume that's what he's saying when he putting their thumb, holding them down. I assuming that's what he's saying. I don't understand that to be the case. We both suffered the same consequences. We both suffer the same consequences. We both had to deal with what we had to deal with. So to sit there and make that statement that the black man, no, what did we do? What did we do that different than what they both did? What the white man did both of the black woman and the black man. I don't understand. And to say that he has to say so in a heterosexual relationship, no, he doesn't. Sex is a big thing. It's a difference. Sex turns a relationship into something different than just a personal relationship. So once sex get involved, feelings get involved, emotions get involved, possibly children get involved. No, he cannot relate. I don't even want to hear what he has to say speaking on heterosexual relationships. I don't care what he got to say. He likes the same thing that women like, if they like it. So what is his input going to bring to the situation? Now, if he stay talking about what issues men have, about men issues other than relationship with a relationship with a woman, I'm all for hearing what he got to say. But once they get to know, like Fresh said, they start talking about that military shit, go on mute. Go the hell on mute, because you have nothing to say in this. I know nothing about the military like that. Just what my brother told me, but he was in it. I wasn't. So I just got to hear him out and hear what he has to say, because he has that experience. I don't. That gay man has no experience with a woman. Doesn't have a relationship with women. Doesn't have no interaction with them like that, probably. I don't know, man. Now these motherfuckers, they be crossing over back and forth. I don't know. Maybe he had one time, just as curiosity to see if he wasn't, but he came back home to his home state. We know what that is. But I don't want to hear his input. It's irrelevant to us. Go ahead, brother Fresh.
What I was trying to say
is, play some more the clip after you get done talking.
Okay. His responsibilities towards women are going to be different than ours. His relationships with them are going to be different than ours. And the way he experiences manhood, especially with it being predominantly through women understanding what his desires and goals are, is going to be different than ours. Oftentimes, he's not going to be seen as someone that may be a threat or trying to get over. He will be seen more as a sister. So it makes everything completely different. So it's not that the opinion isn't valid. It makes the conversation less efficient because we're looking for solutions, not necessarily trying to go off the rails in a debate.
All right. Could have been more of this.
And then another thing that I want to say is too, a lot of people, when I said having accolades and things like this, a lot of my friends, and especially with moving to Houston, I have such a respect because in Arkansas, a lot of people had kids by the time that they were my age. I'm 26. majority of my friends, like they're between 29 to 30 to 40, you know, beautiful women, well into the careers, clocking 200,000 plus. You know, my allyship to them is supporting them whenever we're out. Like, I am a protector. I'm not, there's a big kind of like conversation about like, oh, gay men don't want to be treated as like poodles or whatever. Realistically, I'm 6'2", I'm 200 pounds, 215. Like, it's like, if a motherfucker step up to my friends, I'm going to defend them. I feel like my presence as a black gay man is to use my masculinity, me being a man, as to not only allow myself, you know, vertical, you know, promotion within life. I don't know how to coin it the right way, but also bring up my sisters with me. And that can be whether it's education, go and get that education, whether it's in careers, because black women are the smartest group in America. They're also the most underpaid. If you want that money, ask for it. You know, whenever you go to the interview, let them know what you want. And the same thing as far as like a job, how you can switch out a job, is no different than a man. And you know how we're talking about like the moral basis of, I don't want to lose my track. The moral basis of people not knowing themselves and having babies, a lot of men don't got shit to contribute. If you can't even commit marriage to a motherfucking woman, what makes you think that she wants to commit to having a baby? That 9 to 10 months, that can fuck up that whole baby's life.
Not being supported.
Yeah, you can't.
In the same way that she was talking about, you know, asking for that promotion and things like that, because that also, when we're when we're seen as having some more control or power over in a work environment, you know, people aren't going to abuse us as much. People aren't going to, supposedly, right? Where are we advocating? You know what I'm saying? In the same way of like not being prepared for fatherhood. Where are we advocating for those black women in the job, in the workplace, and making sure that they are seen in the way that they should be and empowered in the way that they should, in the same way that in fatherhood and outside of fatherhood, when you know that your homie is gonna have is thinking about having kids, when you know that your brother or whoever is thinking about having kids, how are you empowering the mother that or who could be the mother, and how are you holding your brother or your homie accountable, and what does that even mean?
The same conversation I can say like, hey, you need to ask for it 150, 200, 175, be the same conversation like, you know, like, what's he doing?
Right.
You know, like, and it's like, it might be a conversation. I think also with certain conversations, it doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, or whatever, you're still a man. Whenever a woman wants to open up and talk to you about certain things, that's when you want to talk about it. Like, you can't be overbearing, because with patriarchy, with masculinity, it's kind of like you trying to talk about something you want to talk about and shouldn't even want to talk about that. That's you exerting your masculinity over somebody. So like, whenever my friends talk about their dating, majority of my friends are introverts. They're real kind of like to themselves. They don't like to talk about their business. When they do open up, that's when I ask like, hey, like, you know, you have X, Y, and Z. Is he providing you what you need? Or is he just a placeholder until that right man comes? So sometimes it will be different. It just depends.
Yeah.
Because you got to be the person to say it.
Yeah, I would say too.
All right, so I really did try to listen to homie with everything that's going on, and I absolutely didn't want to disqualify him just because of what his sexual preference is, right? I wouldn't think that was fair. I wanted to see if he at least had something solid to say, but it kind of throws us off when you feel like you have to identify it, like
Looked like you were trying to find something
like
else.
4 times within the video, right? He just kept bringing attention to that. None of the dudes on the panel, aside from him, said, "Hey, I'm a straight man," or like, none of that happens. There's no need. If you so happen to be that and we pick it up, we could dig it. But why is it that you have to like keep pushing that? Why do you have to keep saying that? It throws us off. And the reason why we kind of can't get with it as much is not because of that, but because he came in with feminist talking points, right? His perspective is extremely similar to a woman's perspective, right? Because he deals with women on capacity that other women do, and he'll kiki in the probably the beauty salon with them too. So his perspective is going to be similar to a woman's, and being that it was a man's conversation, that's kind of what threw us off. But beyond that, when a person refers to someone putting a thumb on your head, that symbolizes oppression or suppression. You were trying to keep someone down, stunt their growth. That's exactly what you mean by that. And I think it was systematic, way more systematic than it was us deciding to suppress our black uh, counterparts. That's crazy to me. Like, a lot of people feel like there's hatred towards black women. I think that there is a loud minority of some people who feel like that. I think that there are some incels, but I don't think there's a single man sitting on this panel right now who shares that perspective. Now, there is a certain type that we may not have love for, even a great disdain, and that's the ones who are degenerates, the ones who are destroying the population, the ones who are having multiple babies by multiple fathers and not taking care of anyone, the ones who are encouraging other women to be promiscuous, the people who are not taking care of the children. This is what we don't like. These are the women that you hear us talk about. We understand that there are plenty of good women, and if you're intentional about it, you'll probably run into, as difficult as that may be. But most of the things that we say aren't because of hatred towards women. Most of the things that we say are to have the women who are virtuous to separate from those who are not.
Two things that I've noticed. One, for what Trev said, what I've seen in my limited time being on these panels, but then, you know, my also, you know, 40 something years of life living, the only women who think black men don't protect black women or we hate them are the ones that we don't like, or the bad ones. I've never heard good women having these issues talking about black men this way. I've never seen good women talk about in mass saying that black men don't protect us or that we deserve more. I've also never seen good black women, like the ones that we respect, that are doing the right things for the community, that we want our daughters to be like, championing these gay guys. What happens with the reason why his conversation, or he's not welcome in that conversation, or he adds no value to it, is because everything about him is performative. If you look at how he handled himself on that show, it was emotional. When you put an emotional man in a room full of a room full of logical people, you've seen what happens on these panels. Every now and then we get, you know, a fingernail painter up here, and he's responding with, you know, emotion instead of logic. And you see how those panels, it's the same thing. That man will never know a woman outside of a platonic friendship. And unfortunately, once you get into the romantic relationship with the woman, that's when you really get to know her. Like, it's not, he will never experience women the way that the majority of normal men do, because he's not normal, he's gay. So the fact that you have that guy talking in there saying he doesn't want to be treated like a poodle, he's acting like a poodle on this very video. Like, you see how he's got to control the gayness from coming out. You see how he's trying to control his mannerisms. He's talking with his hands, his limp wrist stuff. And then in the exchange between him and Clifton Powell, if you close your eyes, you would think that you were listening to Sydney Starr, or one of them cross-dressing women.
All right. Hey, True, I'm gonna come to you next when we play a little more of this video.
You got to go ahead now. I want to see what you're going to say.
No, I'll go.
And placeholder might not be the right thing. It might not be the right thing to say, but.
You know, I was just talking about, I'm 70 years old. So I come from a whole nother era than any of you Negroes is talking about. And what I've learned, and I'm not saying I'm right, I think everybody is right. Because there's so many levels to this. But most of this was laid on our parents.
Yeah.
My father was born in 1915, and his parents were slaves. Well, his grandparents were slaves. So what I've learned is, it's not your mother's fault, it's not your father's fault, it's not your fault. We were born into 450 years of post-slavery PTSD. I am 69, be 70 in March. I've just learned how to love. Our parents didn't know how to love. Their parents didn't know how to love. And if I could say anybody maybe had an edge, it was the women. That's why I celebrate black women. I live with a psychiatrist, forensics detective, gangster, loving Scorpio, Pisces, Cancer, who's just been patient with me to teach me how to love. But in closing on this, because I don't want to get too deep, I called my buddy, man. I said, I'm fucking up, bro, really bad. I'm fucking up. So I've never been monogamous. So I don't even fucking know what it is.
What age did you become monogamous?
Today. No, but let me just say what it
Good
is.
to know.
And we don't talk about this. We don't talk about dopamine being in a pleasant center of the brain like we talked about. Oxytocin is the hormone. It's called the cuddle hormone. So a lot of times we're just talking in generalities. And that's why I think what you said about counseling, because a counselor is going to get inside of this from a real, not even white people perspective, just from a scientific perspective, unless science is not wrong and the brain is not made what it is. So when I hurt my girl, which I've done over and over, and I commend her for even being with me, and I said it in my podcast, and I'm gonna say this and stop. I called one of my partners who's brilliant. He said, when you hurt somebody, where you leave them is where they stay. So I think our parents, our grandparents, our uncles, the people that raised us, those men who treated the women outside the house nice, but then put the thumb on the grandmama and put the thumb on the girlfriend or whoever. They are all, it all comes from out of all of that. And I think that's what makes me excited that we're going to bring the women and the uncles and we need to bring them all in here. But go ahead, what you going to say?
The one thing that I just want to talk about.
I want to stop it there. How you guys feeling about? Well, go ahead, Trey. How you feeling about him saying you just learned how to love at the age of 70?
I'm gonna go back a little bit and I'll address that. I think this whole group is compromised. If I'm being honest, I don't want to attack the brother for his sexual orientation, but I'll say it like this. The problem that I see with a lot of Black men is that we allow women to do too much defining of what men are. And because we have so much of their promotion of voices, you can hear it even in this conversation, regardless of sexual orientation. The Black man needs to figure out what the Black man wants to be, not what the Black women define as the Black man. And what he was saying about the thumb and the transition of white to Black, I think that's extremely problematic. If we were to rally around what we perceive as solid, a man, and then give it maybe a definition, an identity, a process, I think we would be further along. I think the issue is that we are so psyoped, that our women are so loud, that a lot of men have allowed their voices to like be birthed in their spirit and their psyche. So they don't know what it looks like to, in my opinion, really be a man, measure as a man, carry one as a man. And that's why you consistently, in my opinion, see brothers a lot of times look back to listen to what the women are saying and defining. I think that's extremely problematic. If Clifton Powell, I think his name, the actor, if he has come upon a level of clarity to where now he is practicing monogamy, shout out to him. But to me, just hearing from what he said, it seems like it is, I would say, somewhat performative. If you've spent more than half a century being on the planet and haven't found a reason to find consistency in your sexual practice, that's just what you want to do. Don't make it seem like it's problematic. Don't make it seem like you are really sorry. I think you need to man up and just own it. And I think the reason why a lot of times brothers like him and others will even speak to their shame is because it's just that. It's, I want to be perceived as good. Well, you can still be a good man and be, bed hopping, but just own it. I respect a man that says, I want to be in the streets, or I want to clean my life up, and then walks it out. It's hard for me to respect a man that acts on one thing, but then speaks and says, but I want to do better. But I'm only looking at it from the perspective of, I want people to appease me doing better. He is a grown man. Do what you want to do, whether people co-sign it or not. I respect that more. And I think him saying like, oh, well, today, well, that just tells me, brother, that you really ain't put in the work. Ain't no therapist gonna do it. Ain't no round table of a couple of fairies and these, compromised men gonna do it. Own it. And I'll land.
All right. I think I did that by accident. Who was that? I must have been Trey. Go ahead, Trevon.
My bad.
Trey, go ahead.
I just want to ask a quick question. Does anyone else believe that he could have possibly been hyperbolic at that moment when he said just today? Like, I mean, are we going to take that literally?
I don't think he's seen the question coming. I don't think he thought that the question was going to be for him, because I wouldn't say that he was being honest. He was being honest in the beginning as far as what his truth is what I think. But I just think he responded very quickly because that was the first thing that came to mind. He didn't want us to actually know when that was.
Was that an
Yeah,
appropriate question?
Well, from his angle, I get what he was trying to do, because he felt some type of way about him being non-monogamous. So he wasn't really sold on it. So that, I mean, that's fine, and I get it. I don't. He would like to shame him for it, in my opinion. I don't think we should do that. I think True was onto something where you say you own it, but I don't think he ever really had to. We have to take a look at his access and why nobody ever put that type of pressure on him. He probably realized that this is actually hurting the female that he's truly interested in right now. And if he wants to change that and go against his will or biological nature for that matter, then okay, cool. That's what he wants to do. It's going to be a work in progress. And apparently the female or woman who's with him is all for it, all for the growth, all for the progress. So who the hell is an outsider to try to judge him on it if this is his path right now?
Yeah, I think when he was asked that question, I don't think he was lying about that. You know, immediately it comes off as sarcastic, and everybody laughed. But if for those who saw that entire interview, he referenced probably about 2 or 3 times and said, I'm just now, or I'm learning, or I'm still have this issue. Like I'm trying to be monogamous. And then he also said at some point in the clip, I've hurt this woman, or I've hurt her many different times, and she's still here. So I don't think he's lying when he says I'm getting there, as in literally now, not this very second, but as of recent.
But he said today.
He literally did say today, but
I mean, he
no,
might
go
have
ahead.
he might have just been trying to be funny. And then too, of course, the gay dude was gonna try to shame him for that. That's what women would do. Of course, it's on code for a gay dude to take that stance, because he is like, it's a bunch of women inside of him, his female friends, that use him as a Trojan horse to get their way into a conversation. One of my friends is a dating coach, and she has a page where she just talks to men. She asks men questions. She asks men their opinions on things, and she posts posts for men every day. She's posting about how many women try to send friend requests to the page or have made fake accounts just so they can infiltrate that page. That man is the literal, like, real life in person embodiment of women doing that.
But he was invited to the show for a reason. I mean, it's a woman that is over the.
Yeah, that was the first failure, having a woman hosting a panel about manhood. And again, like y'all heard me say it, it's always a certain type of woman that does this stuff. And when you look at
them from a genuine perspective, though, Willie, similar to your friend, I'm saying, like, your friend is a woman that's a dating coach who is speaking on behalf of or helping men, right, in that position of learning more about manhood, if you will. I'm saying that it would be fine if this sister channel, whatever, I can't remember the name of it, sister something channel, was trying to actually have men talk to each other about manhood and what that looks like, as opposed to being an apologist for men to women, which is what I saw when I started listening to the entire show.
Yeah, like women are twice as the smartest group of people. The U.S. Census Bureau and their standard or their status in life doesn't reflect that. There are too many single moms, we're killing too many kids. They're the highest and most often divorced and evicted group of women. So intelligence doesn't equate to me. Education doesn't equate to intelligence. They may be the most educated group, which I don't even know if that's true.
But it's the fastest.
Yeah, the say that
they're the most.
to say that they're the most.
It would be the most enrolled, but I've experienced a panel where a sister was in the lead. She just simply wanted more sisters to be able to understand what it is that brothers are thinking, because her ultimate goal was to help build families, to help get a bigger community. But she let the brothers be at the forefront. The sisters could ask them questions, and the fellas would basically, respond in kind. But that is where I've seen it be successful, is where she will utilize her gift to get the woman in a room and invite the brothers to be able to impart their knowledge and opinions, and the sisters can take that and move along with it, or they can ignore it. But ultimately, it's a gift of honesty to help to get to solution.
Okay, I'm playing more of this clip.
And Luke, make sure I say the name right, crop this part out. Okay. What Luke brought up was like accountability. Like, yes, we can talk about, what our families did to us, all this, all that, but eventually, and I know why people try and say this, and I really don't like that, but eventually comes a point where you have to decide, how do I want to live my life? I haven't talked to my daddy in 6 years. I don't give a fuck about what my family has gone through. I know where I will go. So it's like, you can only say that for so long. Black women are tired, and, kind of like putting onto them like, hey, you didn't do this entirely, because everybody in here, several people have talked about going to counseling. Have that upon yourself. Stop waiting for a woman to tell you what you need to do. Take that upon yourself.
Let me address that real quickly. For me, I didn't know fucking how to
Can I say one more thing? No, I have to say this, because another thing that happens is, too, you live your life for so long, and I'm not meaning no disrespect by this.
It's all right, just say it, bro.
But when you hit your 60s and your 70s, I want to be right.
Okay, but let me.
I want to live my life right. I want someone to take care of me and protect me, and that's what a lot of women have issues with.
I'm living it right the fuck now.
As I said, I said 60s and 70s.
Let me say this.
Don't overtalk me.
I'm gonna fucking overtalk you because you're talking out of line.
But you're not gonna disrespect me.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
I am.
I do. Love it.
I do.
You don't know what the fuck you talking about.
Oh, I do.
Because you can't.
I do.
I do. You don't know it, nigga.
I do.
I'm good. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Get the fuck out of here. I'm living. You can't tell me what the fuck I'm living, nigga. I'm living it right now. You cannot fix no shit that you don't even know is happening.
I think there's a misunderstanding.
No, but he's generalized. You can't. No, listen, bro. Let me stop. This is what it is. Let's get to the truth of this shit. You can't fix no shit unless you meet somebody who is on another level to help you elevate to understand. I'm not indicting anybody. I'm telling you what the shit is. You can't fix some shit that you don't know about, bro. Yeah. You can't. And then you get there at 69 or 70 and say, I thought I was being loving all this time. That's what our parents have gone through, and that's why we all so fucked up right now.
You asked, how do we love black women? Yeah. That's right.
Well, I was rolling when he went in on all buddy.
He turned back into the woman he wished he was. That's what they do anytime they get emotional. Like, they start repeating the same thing. Like, if you look at all the unruly man-hating women that come on this panel, that's what they turn into. They do the same thing. They want to overtalk you. They repeat the same shit over and over again as if they've made a new point each time they say it, and then they completely derail the conversation. Like, that's why you can't have gay men like him in these conversations. Again, and I'm not speaking for all gay men. I'm talking about the performative, like, one step away from putting on a pair of 6-inch heels types, not the ones that just regular dudes that happen to just to like men that still do man stuff, have men things, but they just like men. Not those. What I'm talking about, like these types. These are the ones that make it bad for everybody else, because he came in there to be the spokesperson for hurt, bitter, damaged women. Probably the ones that he hangs out with, his girlfriends, and the ones that he borrows clothes from. Like, no masculine man should be arguing with a nigga that can hang out in the girl's locker room. That shit is crazy to me.
I had a thought.
I disagree with you though, Will. I don't give a damn. It's just him. All these motherfuckers. If you are a gay man, you should not be having a conversation about a relationship with a woman at all. You shouldn't. You should have no input because you're not going to deal with the same thing that we're dealing with. You're not. You can't relate. You can't understand. Only way you understand is what they tell you. And now that's why they start to sound and move and operate like a woman. You might as well go and be one. Go and get the surgery and do what you need to do. We don't need them in heterosexual relationships giving their opinion because they cannot relate.
I see where you're coming from.
Another thing that I had noticed, and y'all can let me know what y'all think about it, but for the most part, when we deal in our normal situation, whether it be team sports, military, or just conversations within our friend group, most men understand a hierarchy. And if you have an elder, especially an elder that's probably lived through something and has been more experienced on it, he gets a little bit more grace when it comes to the conversation. If he may cut you off because you might be veering off into another realm and he needs to correct you and try to teach you something, maybe if he does it too much, okay, you would step in and say, back up. But for the most part, there is more grace given to somebody that is 70 years old in the conversation. Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong.
To be honest, well, and this, yeah, you would think it's that way, but throughout this video, I felt like it was actually the opposite way around. Because I don't feel like they was fucking with what he had to say that much. And he made some valid points when he was talking about, you don't know what you don't know. I think two things can be true at the same time. There is a side of the fence where, yeah, you don't know what you don't know. And you're going to have to figure it out. But there does have to come a point where you figure it out. And I think with him, though, and I can't call his life because we don't know him on a personal level, but at 70 years old, I'm like, how did we get this old and ain't nobody said nothing to you about how you was moving? Nobody? You ain't got to talk to one time.
No, I think the generation of women that Clifton Powell was, one of them niggas from.
Yeah.
I think that those generation of women wasn't worried about it. They just want a piece of the man. Yes. Like this whole I gotta have a man to myself shit, even if he's a celebrity thing, was not in his era, his heyday. Like when he was saying more the guys that they looked at to be an attractive black actor, that wasn't how women were acting back then when it was him. And now you come into 2025, most women tend to think that they deserve a good man of their own. So I can understand why he's just now seeing it, but he's been with the same woman for 20-something years. So it's not like, I think that he has the longest relationship on that panel, gay, straight, or otherwise. So, I mean, if you look at that panel, it's a bunch of, it seems, liberal black men.
Yeah.
Like they're saying that are super beta. And, if you just look at their bodies of work, I'm not old boys was a thug on a show kissing niggas, but he was surrounded by ass every episode. And he was actually French kissing men and having sex scenes with men. So I don't know if how I feel about it is it takes you got to be a little gay to do some shit like that on screen just to pretend it. It's not enough acting in the world to make me think that you're gay on camera. So, and he pulled it off. He looks like, he might be on both sides. So just that whole panel was comprised of it wasn't comprised of men that any of us would expect to be on a panel talking about men. Now, if you gave each one of us 10 people to put on the panel, none of us would have listed any of those niggas that are on the panel. None of us, because none of those men are what we would embody masculinity for the masses.
And if you listen to it, I don't know who did, they seem very timid in how they want to respond. They seem to be tiptoeing around women's feelings or how men will respond to them, as opposed to just being direct and straightforward with what it is that what they're thinking, and just live with the results of whoever disagrees. So I'm with you on that, Willie. In addition to what you're saying, Mr. Fresh, I do see that there was already a level of disrespect from the light-skinned dude. Seemed like he already felt a type of way about the guy. Maybe they had conversation off site or not, because he did interrupt him, right? And then come back and say, "Don't overtalk me." Well, you were the one that addressed yourself to him,
like a woman.
responding to you based on something, and you're telling him that his lived experience shouldn't have ever taken place. Well, we all come to a place of reasoning at some particular point. Everybody has it at a different stage, and it's very possible that he never had someone come up to him and tell him, "Listen, bro, how you going about this is not the right way." Because if you study the time period in which he lived, which is right after civil rights, there was a play on black men for sure and black women, but the goal was to get the black man out of the house, right? So that they could do their work. And he was maybe a byproduct of what he was trying to communicate of what that was. And if you go further back, it was very systemic in how they took apart black families in general. So he was trying to communicate that to the guy, but it sounds like he didn't come there to necessarily listen. He came to be pretty much a warrior for, as Willie said, bitter women.
Yeah,
Do y'all ever think that we could?
He came to a time where
You lost your sound, big dog.
damn, can you hear me now? My bad, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He came through an era where a lot of women were saying, I'd rather have a peaceful man than no man at all. And that's the era he came up in, grew up in. So he got away with doing that because they had that mindset. So she said, I know he's out there fooling around. I know he's messing with Ernestine, about 2 blocks over, but shit, he still comes home to me. Now, even them old women in his days now, they not talking like that no more. They got the that Negro wake up call, and they said, I'm not sharing nothing. Man, you just 10 years ago, you was willing to share it. Now you fighting against it. Why? Because your daughter taught you how not to? No, that's some bullshit. But it is what it is. As far as this situation with like Humble Dad said, he was talking. He had the opportunity, had the floor, and then you wanted to butt in because you felt some type of way. This elder man who you probably feel some type of way because he was part of, like he told you earlier in the interview, in the thing, said he came from an era where, y'all wasn't out there like that. Y'all wasn't flamboyant and just putting yourself out there. Like you was in the closet and you was shamed by the black community if you was to be like that. They'll see you down the street out in the country somewhere to, try to hopefully pray it out of your ass. Now, we all know that shit didn't work, but that's what they tried to do back in the days. Maybe just me, I'm just old and I'm from the country, and that's what they did in my family. I seen a couple cousins go through that shit, but it is what it is. I landed there.
Yeah, so I just wanted to. Oh, you got something else? Go ahead.
I was going to play a little bit more of the clip. I'm going to come to you, Trey.
All right.
Here, trust black women and listen to black women because they know more than we do what it is that they need.
I don't think that's true either.
As men,
there's a lot of black women who don't know how to love.
I'm not talking about what they know how to love. I'm saying what they need as far as the reproductive.
I get that.
We're talking about, that's what we're talking about right now. Also, if we're going to use our privilege and power as men in society, how do we show up and be accountable? Like you said, the way to be accountable is to dismantle patriarchy, because patriarchy makes it so that men have the power and women do not.
But you can't get there unless you listen to him. We got to go, and you may not agree. We got to go to therapy. I should be in therapy right now. My girl should be in therapy. We all come from generations and generations, and you can't motherfucker sit here and tell me when I'm going through at 70, I just realized, but listen to what I'm saying. No, let's be good, bro. It's not gonna get out of control. This is real shit. Bro, this is real shit. I'm telling you, you can't love a queen. Some of these girls out here in Queens because their daddies wasn't there. If your daddy ain't there from 12 to 25, you're going down a rabbit hole. Promiscuity, drugs, gotta read more. Gotta stop getting so fucking defensive and read more, because I read. I know what the fuck I'm talking about because I'm living it. Until you meet a real motherfucking queen who had to figure out her trauma You can't even learn how to love a black woman.
So here's one thing.
That's what we got to start.
Here's one thing with the because I think I agree that you can't wait until you know.
You gotta hold yourself accountable.
So
if you figure it out.
Hold on. Because here's
if you figure it out, bro.
But you gotta let other people talk. Hold on.
No, it's all good. That's why I can't do this, bro.
I got you.
I'm on.
You can't.
But you can't.
The arguments are important. This is how black men talk to each other. So I want to make sure. This is what I want to make sure we're framing properly, because at a lot of the time we think, because you're talking about your privilege and your power and how you use it. A lot of time we've been taught our power is how we control a situation, and we try to control that situation by dominating it, by shutting other people down, by overpowering them. And I think that is something that, I mean, monogamy, just to be real, is not the end all be all. That's not the best. It's the only way. It's not the only way to live, and it's not just men or women. It's literally, there are other ways to be. And so some people value monogamy more. That doesn't mean that you have sin and you dead and you evil if you haven't been. But the problem is, most of the time, the way that we're living is by telling somebody that we are monogamous when we're not. Hold on. That's lying.
But let's
hold on. Bro. So that's dishonesty.
We can't talk about monogamy. No, we gotta talk about
you. I'm not arguing with you. I'm agreeing with you. Hold on.
Men are not. First of all, this is not our culture.
What, true?
Okay, so I'm pretty sure bro was like, how the hell did I wind up in this situation, right? I think that he possessed 90% of the testosterone in the room. And you could see that the other men were visibly uncomfortable, right? As far as learning how to love a black woman, I think it's a different perspective. It's a different time. And I was just thinking that we might be the last of a dying breed. We might be the odd ones out, right? I think that room is an accurate representation of the world. Look at his age and then look at everybody else's age. We might be the weirdos, right? So that's probably why it seems so strange. We're producing about half or 50% less sperm, and testosterone levels are at all-time lows. Some of these plastics and the different things we're consuming right now, all this processed food, is giving men boobies and a whole bunch of things. We're just coming out soft now. So it's a different perspective. Maybe that's why he looks so strange. Maybe that's why all the other men in the room, all of them are just so soft-spoken and so gentle, so feminine and gracious, and it's wild to me. So I'm starting to believe, just from my circle's different, and I think that most of the men in the panel, they probably gravitate to a select few people. I don't think that most of y'all have a bunch of friends, because you probably can't relate to a lot of other men. It seems strange to you. What I see on a regular basis in the interactions, to me, it makes me uncomfortable, like how they are in that room over there. I'm like, damn, this really ain't it. Like, this is really your relationship dynamic. You should reject it. But I'm starting to feel like now we would be considered to be archaic, right? And this is shameful. But I'm thinking that this is the result of what happens when we have a system that deliberately did this, when you have homes without the fathers. So to me, I'm absolutely willing to have the fight to try to maintain our integrity as men. I think it's some things, whatever the hell we can do to do it, because if this is going to be our society, we finished. We don't have that many more generations left. They probably won't even procreate, and if they do, it's going to be a disaster. That's how I feel about it. But as far as loving men, he made a great point. Loving women, I'm sorry. Ooh. But he was saying you have to know and understand them first, right? And I don't think he has a different understanding now, but a couple gentlemen already mentioned it. Like how he was doing it, it was completely acceptable. Nobody really tried to push this idea of monogamy down your throat like that. There were, certain religions did it for certain reasons, but it wasn't like if you were that guy, you could get that off, and nobody would scowl at you. It was what it do. If the females agree with it, then you were just fine. But now these men right here are acting like he's the devil himself based on his lifestyle. And I understand that they don't understand it, but it doesn't seem as if they are listening to understand. It seems like they are listening to judge, and they are approaching it from an extremely emotional standpoint. I'll leave it there.
You know, Trev, I would love to see and hear the conversation when the camera's off. Most of those guys are performers or some type of actors. I don't know about the other guys, but most of them on that panel was. And we all know they're worried about their contracts. We know they're worried about their opportunity they going to miss out if they say the wrong thing. So that's why I can't take a lot of what this whole interview thing was serious, because they really not going to talk freely like they would if them cameras were on and somebody can catch them on a gotcha moment and try to put them out there or try to get them canceled or anything like that. That's my kind of drawback. I would love to been a fly in the room before them cameras on and love to hear them conversations. And you would have got some good uncut shit. Go ahead, bro.
I'm with you on that, but I would call out at least 4 who I would bet my life weren't faking. Who I would bet my life aren't faking. We could point. I'm not going to do that because we're not supposed to get personal. But I'm just saying, just for data, I can tell you at least 4 of them are absolutely not faking, based on demeanor, body language, character. And I understand that a lot of them are actors and performers, but some of that shit they ain't playing around.
One of the interesting things that I saw or heard was that they want to protect women, right? Is what they're saying. He says, Clifton says, I have come to the point where I'm being monogamous. And that's one of the ways to protect women, because that means that you're committing yourself to one person. And then he says, that's not something that that you should put a banner on, or a banner on. And it's like, so then what would be the thing that's greater than committing to this one woman, considering this is he said all I knew was cheating, which is a violation in breaking somebody's heart and somebody's trust. And so now he's saying I'm going to give one person my trust and my all in this relationship, and then it gets pretty much shunned for him wanting to do that. I thought that was a pretty interesting take, considering they saying that they want to protect women.
It's weird to me is Clifton Powell can easily hit that gay dude's mom and grandmother at the same time. Like, so you got to be real careful being, you're saying, disrespectful to elders, because they can come back and hit you with some shit like that. Because I guarantee you that his mother and grandmother both think that Clifton Powell was, one of them ones. They probably all fans of his work. So, the way that he handled that back and forth, like, he needs to be careful before he wake up and see Clifton Powell pouring Kool-Aid and cooking breakfast in his mama's kitchen with his ass out.
I think True was right on point when he said this is compromised. Again, I made references too many times, but in the making of Tyrone, Erykah Badu always talked about it wasn't an actual experience. It was just listening to her aunties talk around at the cookout. And it seems that we've hit a complete 180 to where instead of there's one young person amongst a bunch of elders, there's now one elder amongst a bunch of young folks. But instead of the young folks listening and taking anything in, they are trying to, disregard the experience of the elder, which to me is like going into the darkness without somebody that actually has the experience there. So you're literally on your way to doom. The only thing that I would challenge Trev about us being the last of a dying breed is the probability. I mean, we are being in the middle between having a rotary phone and a cell phone. We are kind of an anomaly, but at the same time, because this was a carefully put together conversation, this may be also an exception, right? most of these things don't pass the barbershop test, and most barbershops are going to have this conversation completely differently. I'll land.
Be good, Sean, in that real quick. Go ahead. We'll go ahead and white then, Sean.
Yeah. No, I want to agree with you, but I think Trev right, man. I really want to agree with you, but Trev right. I think we in a space where we toxic. Like every man on this panel probably is considered toxic to some version of women that's out here. If you go on TikTok or one of them spaces, they'll tell you like if you don't like want to destroy the patriarchy, and when they talk about the patriarchy, they're not just saying abusive men. They mean nuclear families. They mean a father and a mother in the home. They mean any traditional structure that has been touted in life as positive. Anything that's rooted in the Bible or the Quran. Anything that's rooted in anything they believe to be masculine in any form or led by masculine energy, they believe is evil. So they not just saying like we want to destroy the bad parts of what men were. They want to destroy the essence of the fabric of civilization as we understand it up until this point. So the young men, they kind of getting bullied into this position where they either are gonna agree that they want to destroy the patriarchy, or they're gonna be labeled as misogynists. They're gonna be labeled as women haters. They're gonna be labeled as race. They're gonna get labeled everything under the book in order to shame them into agreeing with allowing themselves to be led by or not believing that masculinity should lead the household, while at the same time being called sassy for not acting like a man. Like they getting fed mixed messages and shamed hard on one end and then just not rewarded on the other end. I think under 30 Trev probably right, bro. We like last of a dying breed, and we consider toxic, like super toxic too. I embrace it. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna raise my family and I'm gonna be there in the household. My kids gonna respect me and my wife gonna respect me, and it's just gonna be what it's gonna be. But for anybody who just care and you like held hostage by public opinion for your cash flow or your job or you might be cooked unless you figure out a way to take a stand and become like independently wealthy or learn a trade or something. Because if you have to rely on being socially relevant or have social capital, a lot of this stuff, there was a time when they was in Congress and they could not tell you what a woman was for fear of losing a job. Like we're at that point. It's awkward and weird as hell. So I would love to agree with you. I think our era fresh, but under us, bro, it's a wrap, bro. Like it maybe under that next, like so from 30 to 20 is what I'm talking about. Maybe 20 and under will reverse because pendulum swing. But for that little niche block, they kind of cook.
Yeah, that generation is cooked bad because that's the first generation that's dumber than their parents and also having less sex than their parents did. So I mean, at the same time, I wouldn't want most of them niggas having kids no way.
Facts.
One thing that I learned is that like bitch ass niggas raise bitch ass kids, and I'm just not. I definitely don't want them reproducing.
All right, Sean, I'm gonna play a little bit more of this, and then I'm gonna come right to you.
And Africa is polygamy.
No.
It's not monogamous biological, is it?
Some people do believe that monogamy is the most healthy thing.
97% of married men cheat, bro.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's
85% of married women cheat. Nobody is being monogamous.
We've also been taught to lie, and we've also been taught to dominate and control. So I think there are other perspectives here that are valuable in holding that stuff accountable, because we were talking about how to hold each other accountable in this,
Can
right?
I add something to that?
In talking about trusting Black women and loving Black women, how do we hold each other accountable in that? How do we make promises that we can keep? How do we say that, make sure that we're surrounding each other with people who are going to check us when we're wrong, right? And how do we know that who knows what's right and what's wrong in that, right?
I think it's
even what I read, a lot of the time what we read is wrong.
Yeah.
A lot of the time the books that they give us to educate ourselves are wrong. So I do want to hear more perspectives on literally how to hold ourselves accountable in that. how do we, we're talking about trusting black women, how do we trust black women, right? You know what I'm saying? And what does that trust accountable to? What books, because a lot of the books that we're given in school are lies that tell us the opposite of how to trust black women. That tell us the opposite of how to hold each other accountable and make sure that we understand what is right and wrong and what each other's perspectives are. So I love the energy of, you know, I'm not afraid of the argument. I'm not afraid of the fight. But it does have to be, but I do want to make sure that we take it to a place where we come out here more powerful than we did when we came.
I think we gotta listen to Luke. Listen, I think we gotta listen to Luke. He's talking about therapy. This is what he's saying.
We gonna get your t-shirt to say, listen to Luke.
In order for us to trust black women, we gotta fix ourselves. They gotta go fix themselves, and it starts with black people don't like to go to counseling.
Okay,
they need to go to fucking therapy. That's it.
Jay brought that up, and I agree that we must talk, but I do also understand the value in us talking, our perspective.
We got that part, but how do we find solutions?
But the only thing is we're not gonna get to a solution because there is still something on the table. There's still something on the table, and we gotta.
What's on the table?
The problem is
Your point of view. What's on the table to me is how do we as black men?
You said listen to Luke.
No, but I'm just interjecting, bro. Y'all said interject.
Well, inject.
Listen, I'm saying, how do we help black women? I'm telling you.
Well, first we gotta help ourselves.
Right. But I'm saying is,
if we can't figure out, if we can't figure out what love really means, what love looks like to us, what love has been to us, what have we been taught about love?
You know, it's only 3 men on that panel, I think, that actually date women, and only 2 of them date black women. Did y'all see Conscious Lee on there?
I was glad he didn't say shit.
I looked it up because I wanted to be, you know, it says she's half black. I wanted to be fair because I didn't want to go off the rails, you know. It says she's half black.
Who, Conscious Lee girl?
Yeah.
She looked Norwegian. All right, maybe I'm wrong. I'll take that shit. If she has, sometimes it be. She look like a Norwegian chick. But the other half, like Buddy that was talking to Clifton at first, he was past effeminate. He clearly was dating men. I think dude who was just talking before him, maybe he just do roles where he only date men. Because I seen him in like 3 roles.
You talking about the light person?
Dude, just like my complexion, kind of had similar hair. He been in like 3 or 4 roles.
Yeah, you talking about bro from the Shy?
Yeah, when he dating a T person.
Yeah, he was. Yeah.
And
then Conscious Lee, he the main one saying T people are women, and that if you being T phobic, they got a show called Olay and Friends that I done seen them on. I watched that show with my mouth open the whole time because all they talk about is. Y'all seen that show before? That's my fault.
That was a big one, bro.
Hey, well, he was baffled. Like, what are y'all talking about?
Yeah. You got me. Yeah.
Lord Jesus.
But I view that show from the stance of this can't be life, and I view that show very like in a haze, because they find a way to make everything that from the past, they villainize any and everything. Wow. And they call it an ism. So it's like lookism, colorism, weightism, heightism, fat phobia, T-ism. Everything becomes an ism. So if you have any like attraction or standards, or you won't date men, or you won't date big, whatever it is that you don't want to do, you become a bigot in their eyes. And they're trying to push an agenda where you can be considered a straight man, where you'll go date a T-person that's overweight, that's not attractive to other people, specifically because you see them as a person. You is that my shit or somebody else?
Is that Sean?
Yeah, I'm trying to read it. Sean, you there? Sean.
I turned my 3D printer off specifically so I wasn't making these moves. Maybe mute.
Yeah.
You want me to mute him?
I was trying to mute him. Like he may be at work. It's time working.
Yeah. But on that show, I mean, they dissect every ism. They find fault in anything that our society has in place, and they thing is, as long as they can try and figure a way to tie it to YT supremacy, then it's bad. So they use that same metric for why fathers and mothers don't need to necessarily be in the home, and why you should have two daddies and two mothers, as opposed to, you know, like it's really weird. We in a weird place. Like I watch. We should review one of their clips one day, and y'all gonna be like, "What the hell is this?" If y'all never seen it before.
We'll make sure to do it with our mouth closed, though, for sure.
Yeah.
No, that's right.
Yeah.
Right. God dang.
Oh, you gonna talk about the part where he's talking about reproductive justice, JR? Because I had
Hold on. Go ahead, HD. What'd you say?
I was saying, were you gonna talk about the part or show the part where he's talking about reproductive justice?
I'm not sure if that's on the back end of that or that's on the front end, because the front end of it we're gonna talk about on Thursday. But
But it's on the front end because that's the part that I saw. But I was looking at some information about like the whole sister song process and what their thinking is. So it makes a lot of sense now that I read what their background is. So.
Okay. All right, let me see what Sean's saying right now. Well, while you looping in, I'm gonna play the Sean, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. All right, go ahead, brother. What's your thoughts?
Man, first off, a lot of good points were made. What's up to the fellas? We are in a period of where patriarchy is there's almost a phobic against patriarchy. But what we're not even identifying or recognizing is how much matriarchy has been influencing everything that we're speaking about right now. The only masculine man in that panel was Clifton, as far as I can tell. And that's due to the matriarchy of this society that is driven by the matriarchy and their beliefs and systems, as some of you alluded to in question. And meanwhile, the patriarchy, which there are a lot of benefits in it, is damned, as most of you guys said as well. And so I'm starting to think that we're patriarch-phobic. I wish there was a such word right now in this society, and the reflection of it is these conversations that we're looking at this round table with these men who are influenced mostly by matriarchal ideologies and influences.
I'm playing a little bit more of this clip.
From generations of no love,
right? But then, so we got to go back to
patriarchy come with accountability?
No, I
what
think
is
we
the
gotta go back
definition of
The definition of patriarchy is when we have systems of domination for men. Right now, I think we're not doing a good job of naming the system that literally incentivizes us to be on some fuck shit, or incentivizes us to always want to be dominating
the man,
power.
patriarchy celebrates the man.
Yes. But I think in our conversation right now as black people, a lot of times when you hear the word patriarchy, you think about the word patriarchy, you think about how we're taught in Christianity to be patriarchs. So a lot of us have a hard time thinking about leadership and thinking about how that leadership comes out in fucked up ways. I.e., I want to be a patriarch like Father Abraham, therefore patriarchy is good. Patriarchy is not good. The system of domination for women is not good. But a lot of us buy into that.
So I got a question I want to ask you.
What's your question?
How do we unlearn that? I think we unlearn that by listening to what he's saying.
About what specifically?
Therapy. So we can go understand all of it.
But listen, I want to be clear. Right now, we're talking about a system of power.
Right.
If you think interpersonally going to therapy is going to deconstruct the system of power, no.
I don't say, I'm not saying that.
But this is what we get at. Right now, we're talking about trusted black women. There's a system I'm saying that goes against this.
Aspect to it.
Right.
Yes.
I'm not. Don't go to no white therapy.
No, but hold on. If we talking about therapy,
let's talk about therapy.
This is therapy.
Yes.
Correct.
This is therapeutics.
Right. Us looking like us.
Yes.
Right. Different ages, different experiences. Us. it's I mean, it's gonna be ugly. It's not gonna be cute. We ain't professional therapists or nothing, but we are listening.
Okay, but hold on.
And I think that's the point where we
And
gotta
have to stay there.
right here is just
We gotta
listen.
stay there.
Listen and find and wait for it. Cause sometimes it's just the listening. I think that's the whole part of this whole thing, because we don't listen because we live in this space of feeling like we know everything. And we are not the smartest people in the room.
I think it goes a step further than that. I think we're too ashamed to admit when we're wrong. And so when we go, so like when trust, I'm gonna say something. Tressie, oh Lord, Tressie Cottom, credible writer, sociologist. She says we are smarter when we listen to black women, not because all black women are right, but because all black women deserve to be heard, right? And when we're so caught up in the process of listening is love. That's how we love black women, by listening to them, right? Again, everything they said isn't necessarily right, but they do deserve to be heard.
So let me address that.
How y'all feeling about that? Do they deserve to be heard?
Didn't I call it though? Didn't I call it?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, but I don't think every man should listen to every woman. You should listen to yours. That's what I feel. I don't want the opinions of a lot of women, because I don't know their stance and their mind frame and their agenda. But I do know the agenda of my wife, and I know she's not gonna tell me something that's gonna hurt me or put me in a bad space, mentally, emotionally, or physical. So I don't think every man should listen to if there's somebody in your family, yeah, give them the benefit of the doubt. Listen to them. Your mothers, your aunties, your older sisters, or your grannies, and all that stuff. Yeah, cool. But just any average woman, I don't know. I can't. Yeah, shout out to Hall & Oates, man. I can't go for that.
I don't think every person should be heard, and that's something that we really gotta start taking a look at. We think that everybody, because they have an opinion, that opinion matters. And in reality, all opinions should not matter. Those opinions that can lend to a resolution should matter. But everybody does not need to be heard. You know how they say children need to be seen and not heard? That's a reflection of society in general. Because again, there are some things that children can say that can be beneficial to the growth of adults. And there are times that children need to be quiet and listen to adults. And I think that just applies in all parts of society.
Is there room possibly I'll ask it like this. Have there been an overwhelming amount of positive direction from Black women that you guys have experienced as individual men? And I'm not talking maybe your wife or maybe your mother, but I'm just saying in the community as a whole.
Are you asking, have we had positive interactions?
No, I'm asking because what I heard them saying is we need to listen to Black women, which that's fine. I'm asking, as we are a part of the community, have you been given a lot of positive direction, positive instruction from the community, from the women, like in mass?
In mass, no. In mass, no.
If you look at the majority of the issues that Black men have, that take away from being Black men, that are detract from masculinity, Black women are the champions of those things. Okay. If you ask a guy his top 5 things that he wishes would change about the world or change about the Black community, 4 of them are going to be things that Black women champion and that have somehow been chosen to embody. So no, emphatically no.
And I asked that because this is I'm speaking anecdotally. I still struggle with why, being a Black man and then being amongst Black men, why we still seek to be defined by the women as far as what they deem as masculine. Like they don't know what it is to be a man, and they definitely don't know what it is to be a Black man. even though they're Black women. And I think that there's this shared thought amongst our community that they really assume that because they look like you and they come up in the surrounding areas that they understand you. My brothers, they do not understand you. And I don't know why that's so hard to, maybe consider.
It's because the men who think that are the ones that Black women are raising, for the most part, because they don't know any better. They think that Black women understand them because they were raised by them. Those of us that had fathers in our lives, we don't seek the counsel or the validation from Black women because we were taught, about men and what it was to be a man by a man. A lot of these guys who think this way, the majority of them were raised by women who couldn't even keep a man, let alone understand one. So I don't even see that it's not far fetched for me to see that these types of guys. And if you listen to that panel, I think there's only one of them that had a daddy. So, and if you listen to them talk about it, like if you watch the videos entirety, you understand that those men are just espousing the things the women who raised them taught them and infused in them. So,
yeah. Hold on. I just want to add this real quick. I'll stay with True. So, True, do you think it's because there may be some people watching, right? And you made that statement as far as in mass, men are not led by women. Is it possible that some men are and they turn out to be okay and turn out to be fine? Or if you was explaining this for women who disagree with you, how would you explain it so that they understand why it's not okay, or why you disagree with it? I just need a little bit more context, so that they just be like, oh, he doesn't care. He doesn't care about women. He's not listening.
Okay, that's fair. I think it's because, and this is just my observation, I think we just give away our leadership innate ability because we're associating it with familiar face, familiar upbringing, right? So basically, I don't believe women, any woman, I don't care what color or creed, she's not in the position to help impart in you what you need as a man, even if she's Black. And I think that a smart woman, a wise woman, would understand that and position her leadership by providing you the tools you need to be developed as a whole man, as a young man. If you don't have a father, you need to be surrounded and imparted in your developmental years. So that could be a structure. That could be sports. It needs to be to where she understands she is not Mother Earth and gifted to be able to really give you what you need just because she's Black. That's not good enough. That's the problem I've seen, is that a lot of brothers are really, you can see it in the panel, they are confused, JR. They really do believe because this is mama and mama know best. Mama don't always know best. So I would say that we need to start, men like us and others need to really start questioning what it is that she's trying to guide or teach, what it is that she's trying to impart, and not just take it at face value because she looked like you.
Well, that's part of you're lending to the point of why I said we're run by a matriarch driven society right now, because that is what we were taught, whether it was directly by single mothers or whether it was the influence of the community that single mothers had. And so regardless if your father was there, those families became almost like they became almost like you know how you have the majority and then you have the minority. They became the minority within our community, of actual balanced family, a balanced family structure, which was part of the patriarch ideal. Now, the power that they're speaking of, to answer your original question, yes, there have been influences of women that have been helpful to us, and that is lending balance. But when the balance shifted to where they gained the leverage, we start leaning towards a lot of the issues that we're dealing with right now, in my opinion.
Also, I think that the guy that was talking about the patriarchy, he definitely misrepresented the definition. I mean, he had to dig deep for the third definition out of the definitions to say what the definition was. I mean, the main definition of patriarchy is that the man is in charge, and it's governed, and the society is governed by men. It's not about dominating women. The patriarchy literally allowed women to vote, right? The patriarchy actually, for the most, free slaves, whatever you feel about it. I mean, the patriarchy has done a lot of things productively in society. Have they done some bad things? Yes, but they've also given people the liberty and the freedoms that we currently have in this particular country. If you compare it to other countries, women don't have those freedoms because of how their patriarchy is ran. So I think that's wrong for him to do that, and we continue to see this, especially in this generation, for some reason. The dishonesty doesn't allow the conversation to go forward. Now, one of the things that was said about, being the question you asked, Joe, I thought was a really very good question about can a woman help? Can it be a situation where a woman has done a good job in raising a boy to be a man? Was it something like that? Something to that degree?
Yeah, because some may argue that they have turned out okay, or in rare cases. I know True said in mass. In mass, I don't think that it happens based off my experience. I can't speak for everyone, but
I was okay. Sorry.
but there may be some people out there that don't have the understanding as to why True, thinks and feels that way. So I think you need to add a little bit more context as to why it's important for people to hear his perspective on it in that manner.
Yeah, and I thought it was a dope question. And so my lived experience is that I was raised by my mom, and there are some remnants of that I've tried to make sure I got away from because of the damage it did inside of a relationship. And I think the part about me going to college and being around young men who were raised by their dads and having a manhood to kind of see what it is to be a man, as opposed to living with a woman and her sisters, right? Like when some popped off with me, I had to go to my uncle, right? And so my uncle was the one that the reason why I even wanted to be married. It was because of a man that was doing it what I thought was the right way by being with his wife. So I would say that in mass, like, and I've talked to a lot of men, and as it relates to communicating with their about their moms had a really tough time and how they delivered their message to those men, and they struggled too to understand what manhood is and looking for that, because there is no reference point if you're being raised by a woman, right? So I would say in mass it has done damage, because if you look at any statistic as it relates to single motherhood, it is a detriment to men and even women. So that's why I would say that in mass.
I think.
All right, so I'm
Go
sorry.
ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say, from my experience, I think I got a kind of unique experience. My father and my mother was married before he passed, and my mother, she like value manhood, the version that she valued, right? So some of the stuff that people would call toxic masculinity, at an early age, she was telling me that was the right thing to do. Like I told you, I think I told you before, she was the one who told me to have like multiple women, don't be monogamous until, she just said don't be monogamous and have different women. She was the one who told me, like, if somebody try you at school, you better win the fight and come home. She was the one that told me, you can't let no woman boss you around ever. My son would never get bossed around by a woman. Like, she was on top of me about anything she thought was like a hyper version of a man. She also was ensuring that she pushed that. It was to a detriment sometimes, but it was very positive in a whole lot of other ways. So I think there's a balance that maybe could have been reached a little earlier, but if I had to choose, I would prefer to get the extremes than to be on here talking about destroy the patriarchy and my woman is my leader type shit. You know what I'm saying? But she never yelled at me. She wasn't like abuse. She wasn't like demeaning and trying to emasculate me or none of that. Her whole thing was she wanted a strong man, a child that was gonna be a man. She didn't want no soft. She wanted like a real like a man, like you know. I want to. And right now it's considered toxic, but yeah, that
But
is.
she wasn't a single mother though. She had a
Yeah,
husband.
right.
So that's what the difference was. That said a lot about your dad because she chose him, and she wanted to implement those things that she saw in him and you.
Yeah, I think too that we have to eventually get to a point to what we define as good, and because it could be so subjective, you know, region, religious background, whatever it may be. I think sometimes what happens is that our bar is set very low as a collective, and good is he didn't get arrested. Good is he didn't get tatted up. Good is he may be able to actually articulate himself to a degree. But I think the measure of good is going to be, you know, it's an extension. I would argue that it's typically hard to gauge how good you did as a parent until that child reaches real maturation, 25, 30, 35. And then you see what you imparted into them. Did it manifest? You can't call them good at 18, in my opinion, 22, in my opinion. And then you can't even mask it with something like going to college and getting a degree. Those may be processes towards development of good. But I would argue you'd have to wait till that kid hits about 30, maybe 35, and see the decisions they've made, that they hearken to what you guided them through, how they deal with pressure, and all of those collective things. And that takes time.
What's interesting about that is I simply define good as honest. There's really nothing that complicated about it. And being honest enough to take the responsibility of when you mess up, being honest enough to be able to understand the values of what honesty brings. And so we complicate it with a lot of other accolades and attributes, but it's really not that complicated, if you ask me. Now, what's interesting about the question that you posed to True is that men who are successful, often with single mothers, we don't really look that deep into it to understand why. But the reality is that they saw the struggle and they became men prematurely. They had the responsibilities of a man prematurely, which means they missed out on a lot of their childhood, and hence why a lot of them tend to be grown kids when they do succeed or achieve those things to be able to take care of their mom and the family. And you wind up finding the unbalanced nature and personality of this young man who never really had the opportunity to be a young boy because he took on the responsibilities, because he saw his mother struggle. He saw his, things that he did not want to have continue. So he took his boots and strapped them up and said, I'm going to make it to make sure that she's good, which is fine and dandy. And that's what we call a success story. But often that leads to a lot of the other challenges that we're having in our community where we have grown boys who became men too early. I remember my brother telling me the story of when he finally got over to my father, and my father and my mother split at a young age. So when he left my mom's and he came to my father was like, all right, cool. You over here, we're gonna have a good time. He's like, yo, I'm the man of the house. I gotta go moves. And my father looked at him and said, yo, nigga, you a boy. I'm the man in this house. Go be a boy. Now, because you was taught that you was the man when you was raised and your mother was taking care of you, that's one thing. But now you're here. And he helped him understand that those struggles and that responsibility that was put on him was not really his responsibility. And unfortunately, it helped my brother become a better man. It helped me become a better man when my father took on that ideology and shared it with us and taught it with us. But it took us when we was 13 and was sent over to my father, which made it a unique experience to help give us that balance.
That was the big point of Boys in the Hood, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Play just more better this clip.
Hold on. Let me finish. Let me back it up. In doing so, we can help dismantle patriarchy because we're leading with, hold on, let me finish, brother. We're leading with listening. And if we lead with listening, that means we're not listening so that we can respond. We're listening just listening to understand, which means you might have to ask another question. If you speak, it is to ask another question,
and not censor yourself,
so you can get more information from the source.
Okay. And so I started out really quick with that patriarchy, because we keep saying patriarchy, and you were saying without centering yourself, and I think that that's really important, because I wouldn't know. I'll just be real. If me being young nigga in the street, I wouldn't be like. I wouldn't say young, but when I was. I'm not saying now. I understand what it is now, but I'm saying when I was, I wouldn't hear somebody talk about dismantling patriarchy and be even attracted to the conversation or even know what that means, right? And so what I would like you to go a little bit deeper into what does that even mean? Because for me, the way I'm thinking about it is the way that we've been taught wrong about our power. That we are supposed to, that we have some sort of privilege in certain, in some situations, that we have a little bit more power than somebody else, and that we abuse that power. We use that power to try to control the situation in our favor, when we should be listening to other people, when we should be honoring their existence and centering their freedom, their liberation. You know what I'm saying? So what their experience. So what does that mean to y'all? What does that even mean to dismantle patriarchy? What is that? Why is it harmful? And I'm not putting that necessarily on you, but whoever wants to.
Can I go?
What does that mean? Yeah.
So when someone comes to you and they already know what you possess as a person, like, for example, like a lot of doctors. Once I feel like a lot of black men get higher education, a lot of people want to get treated like a bitch. That's the truth. Like, more accolades, get treated like a bitch. Like, you want, like,
take care of me.
Yes, take care of me. Like, or like, like, I'm the prize. I'm the prize.
You talk about when you become rich and famous.
You don't even got to be rich and famous. It could be you going like for 12 years in academia.
That language
I'm trying to understand you.
What?
Like treated like a bitch.
That's how they want to be treated. Some men want to be like a prima donna.
But think about the
that's
way
relative to patriarchy.
And what we're talking about now around centering like black women and their experiences, and even the saying treated like.
I'm not making that connection. Bitch to me is subservient. Men can be bitches. Women can, like, I shouldn't say that.
But you're a man.
Yeah, but
so you being called a bitch is not the same as a woman being called a bitch, especially a black woman being called a bitch.
I feel like the black women that listen to this, they're gonna know what I'm talking about. They're gonna know what I'm talking about.
As long as we put, because I think it's important.
Period.
I hear what you're saying.
I
see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I get it. What I think that it's important that we talk about all of it.
So this is what I'm saying. So like, we're speaking in this way. This is how the dismantling happens, because the language and how we say things is very important. And that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
So like, I'm not saying like don't say it, because I'm like, I say bitch all the time. Like, that's not what I'm saying at all. But it's essentially about when we're talking about the systems of power, and when we talk about dismantling patriarchy, and we talk about masculinity and what that means and what that looks like to us. And I could say even to y'all as someone as cis men, because my perspective of it is going to be completely different from how you all experienced it, having come from a different place. So like, when growing up, I have two brothers, and the way my father taught my two brothers what it would be to be what it meant to be a man, and how to show up, and what masculinity meant, it was always domination, it's power, it's strength. And it was never really like protection, not softness. So I wanted to combat the idea that being a good man, or a man is being like, or men are natural protectors or natural providers. I don't think that's the case at all. Men are not. You can't be a natural protector and provider when you are the one that's causing harm. Right.
Yeah.
So what are you protect? You're protecting. So you say you're protecting women.
You said that so eloquently.
You're saying
so simple too.
He said it the way I was trying to say it.
You're protecting yourself.
Then he be doing this motherfucking hands like this. Like, I'm gonna fuck you up.
So that is largely how we got it wrong.
And then we talk about masculinity. So when we're teaching young men and boys,
I think we on to something here. I think we on to something.
What masculinity is it's always an antithesis to femininity and
Exactly
womanhood.
right.
So then it's just like, oh, to be a man and to be strong and to show up means you don't be like a woman. So
Right,
being a woman
right.
is less than. It's always going to be down.
So let's go back to what we were talking about at the table. Listen.
Right.
What I was trying to say to you is this.
I think
Out of everybody in this motherfucking room, I'm 70 years old. My mother committed suicide when I was 4. My father was a dysfunctional alcoholic. I'm just learning. Like you said, I think when you learn, you gotta do better.
Yeah.
So now I'm trying to do better. So we talking about trusting black women, because that's why the fuck I'm here.
Right.
And I don't like doing this kind of shit.
Right.
Because my brain is on another level, because I live with the boss. I live with a queen who's a boss, that if you saw me, and I'm just saying this, and that's why I got emotional, because I'm living it right now. Every 18 seconds, a woman gets beaten in this country by a man. When a woman is killed, it's by the domestic partner. So it's a lot of things that y'all are talking about that's true, that in order for us as black and Latino men, or you Latin?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm half Latin.
Head ass. I'm just saying.
No, but I'm just saying, what I'm saying, nobody at this table is wrong. In order to love black women, we gotta figure out where we are as men and how to get away from what you said, that patriarchal kind of bullshit that we've been taught, like your dad, be nice to everybody else, but got his thumb on your mother's head. That's not love.
So what happens when
What are these even talking about, man?
He drank the Kool-Aid.
If I could be honest, most men are not these monsters that a media monopoly will try to make them out to be. Most men are not on panels, on podcasts. Most men with women are happy to have their women and to make sure that their women and children are good. Now, psychos that feel like they need to be on top of women and abuse them, of course, those get taken out to the tree line by good men like us. So I think sensationalizing and paying so much attention to the men that would be the problem or be the problem and be chosen is the particular issue. The men that should be chosen that would take those bad men out to the tree line is why we're even having this conversation. Those men that are the problem shouldn't even be paid attention to. I'll end with this. For the most part, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, if there is a man that is in your particular group that would be a deadbeat dad, you would probably say something to him about his behavior. If he did not do something about it, the way that most men deal with behavior that is unbecoming of a man is exclusionary. You get excluded from the group. You're not allowed to be in here.
No, that's a fact. I actually ended up having that situation occur with one of my friends. We talked about where out of all of us, he was the only one that acted like he didn't want to step up to the plate and really be there for his kids. And we don't play like that. If you can't be there for your flesh and blood, you can't love nobody else. So he not in the clique like that no more. And it is what it is. I've heard he's getting better now, but that I'm still kind of off put by the whole scenario. But one of the things I find interesting about this is they desire to feminize black men and get us to embrace weakness as our representation is fucking disgusting, right? They act like we don't use our power. The ultimate measure of strength and power is to protect the weak, not to demonize and attack women and children. We not trying to get strong to hurt women. We not operating in masculinity so we can hurt women and children. The way they framing this is disgusting. And I'm led by a queen. My woman is a boss. And I like the language and the verbiage that they using. Either they are reading this stuff from a script or they let Hollywood completely infect their mind and became the puppets for the Democratic Party propaganda. Because this what that sound like what the Democrats think real men should be and sound like. That's why 70% of them like other men. And the ones that like women is bowing down to them and becoming subservient bootlickers. Bruh, men we not start. You know what? This is just crazy. My son ain't gonna be like this. I know that for a fact. I know my son. He gonna, if he got to be in trouble for being like nothing like that, then we'll just deal with that shit as it comes. Because that shit is ridiculous. And there was a time when the LGBT community, specifically the women, when they wanted to become men, they didn't try and become the effeminate version of men y'all are on that panel. They became the toxic men, meaning that was the pinnacle of what they viewed masculinity as. And other people from other aspects viewed it that way too. So this whole we gonna become rainbow skirt wearers, but we not, you know what I'm saying? We don't like men, we just look like we like men. We talk with our hands and break our wrists and shit. Like, bro, we're not doing that. Like, y'all can wrap that shit up. Like, I put in a back chat what the Olay show. If you want to pull up one of these dude clips, they keep doing this shit though. We not going for it. So if y'all think y'all gonna feminize men and we gonna get on board, you lost us. We'll just be out in the cold looking in, because I'm not rocking with that shit. They can get that goof ass on.
The only person they missing on this panel is that light skinned nigga with the dreads to be pandering that pro-African shit to black women. Deontay, whatever his name is.
Deontay Cal.
Yeah, that nigga. He should have been on this panel too, because he said he said all the same shit. But he, like, consciously, I mean, I'm so happy that he's finally been dethroned and exposed for being, you know, a fraud and all of that shit that happened with him on TikTok. That's what you get. I told you, it's always a cycle with those types of niggas. But for the fairy on the panel, the crazy thing about it is that he said that when men get educated, they get successful and stuff, they want to be treated like a bitch. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, everything about him is feminine. He takes it from a feminine point of view. He's offended that when men add value to themselves, their requirements go up. And he inflated that to he conflated that to wanting to be treated like a bitch. Like, this is the thing. Like, I don't know how y'all take these gay dudes serious on anything other than like sucking dick, because like everything about them is just like these types of gay dudes. Everything about them is off when it comes to be like normal men. Like, if we were all out and it was that one dude with us, we wouldn't even be able to relate to anything he said or anything that he did, because again, he's coming from a very feminine place. Like, none of us are going to be like, you know, agreeing with him or trying to talk to him about anything. Like, he's going to end up excluding himself or going to go find a table full of bitches to sit with. Like, it's so weird that we give so many of these people so much airtime to talk about things that they are just not qualified to talk about. Like, and it seems as if I've never seen, aside from Tyler Perry, and you know, I think Tyler Perry is also part of the reason why niggas' estrogen is so high. But aside from Tyler Perry, I only see black women putting these types of niggas out there on display, out there for people to like making this gayness and shit, like this effeminate thing they're doing, like making it or marketing it as it's consumable to the masses. This shit is weird.
He struggled with the idea. He said that men and women could be bitches. And then when the trans person corrected him, he says, yeah, men could be bitches. Oh, but I can't say that about women. Right? So it is the disconnect in understanding what manhood and masculinity is, right? So the whole at one particular point in time, Clifton was having a particular point, but because he got shunned, he seemed to back down because there were so many people disagreeing with him in a particular way, as opposed to just staying 10 toes down on whatever it is that you're rocking with, just like they are. You know what I'm saying? If that's how you feel, stay right there, my G. I mean, even though he had a point, as I do believe that all of us should go to therapy and see what it is that we're missing so that we can get bit better at becoming better people. I do also think that we do need to listen to women in the sense of what is it that they're saying, because as a leader, you should know what's going on with the people that you're leading. But that doesn't mean that you have to curtail yourself to what it is that they are saying. But you do want to have the information so that you can know how you should be leading most times, is what I would say. And these particular guys have no idea. That's why it's frustrating to me to watch, because they literally are not speaking from the position of what manhood looks like and what it should be. And then the thing about the part about a man not taking care of his seed, That's in the Bible. It says that a man that don't take care of his seed is worse than an unbeliever. So, I mean, it wouldn't make any sense for us on here to say that we're men, which means that a part of that is protecting our wives and protecting our kids, but we don't do that. Like, that doesn't make any sense to even classify yourself as a man. And so, as y'all said before, a lot of these dudes on the panel don't even have those responsibilities, but they're speaking on behalf of what it is to be a man, which is crazy to me.
If you going into that type of environment with the way that we are, like normal men, like there's regular masculine men, would be like a nigga going to a Ku Klux Klan rally talking about y'all gotta like niggas now. Like, it's never gonna happen. Like, anytime you're gonna be outnumbered. And one of the things that happens when you get with a bunch of soft men and sissies is that, like, they're gonna saying treat you like you're a woman and then beat you with experience of being women and acting like women. So it's a lose-lose for you. There's nothing that you'd be able to do or go add to that conversation with those people because they're all like-minded. It's like beta men and gay dudes are like hive-minded, like ratchet bitches and hyenas are. Like, they all spin in the same, they stand in the same echo chambers, and both of their echo chambers are adjacent to each other. So they're all going to have the same thought. There's never going to be an original point aside from black women are the victim. It's straight black men's fault. Gay dudes are black women's best friends, and we'll help protect you from the black man that we can't protect ourselves from, and we both love dick. Like, that's all they're going to talk about. Those are the only 3 points they can ever make. And when you listen to them talk in these conversations, it proves it.
I just want to say I was wrong about something, and I want, because I try and stay on the part of the truth. Fresh was right. I looked it up. She is not a white woman. That is a mixed woman. I seen a picture that was a white woman. But if I'm wrong, I admit it. I was wrong about that.
Yeah, trust me. Before I was coming into the conversation, I was like, "Don't he date a?" And I was like, "Let me double check." You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
Yeah, I seen a picture a long time ago. I guess I don't know. Maybe I don't know, but I was wrong. I just keep it there. I was wrong.
He got as black a woman as he can stand. He couldn't stand 100% black chick. Like, he wouldn't survive. And he just got one that's soft enough that that's not gonna try and peg him or something. Like, he know what he's doing. He's weird.
But the stuff about him promoting the trans stuff and all that's real. You can look that up.
So just to so there was a trans
Fresh,
person
you was
on the
muted.
panel?
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Go ahead.
There was a trans woman on the panel or trans person on the panel?
No, he's got a bunch of videos supporting the transformer community and calling normal niggas weird and transformer phobic if we don't agree that men can be women or women can be men, and said that if you as a man, as he used the word cis, that's how you know he's probably gay too. I'm super convinced. I'd bet all the money I have that he's taken a dick or two before. But he said that if a straight man won't date a transformer, then that means that he's transphobic, because a straight man won't date another woman with a penis.
Now,
are you sure they weren't trans? Because if he's calling other people cis, man,
anytime you hear a dude use cis before a man, he's allied to that community, and it's just my personal belief that, again, he's dabbling in said community as well.
Now, one thing I wanted to get to, as far as conversations like that, we already had that with Malik Yoba on the Breakfast Club, and that turned into a complete just debacle because nobody knew what folks were talking about. And I want to lean that into when the gentleman asked them, what does it mean to, dissolve the patriarchy? It's like when I ask somebody that may lean towards, say, like feminism, what does that future look like for you or for the community? Dissolving the patriarchy, what is the future in that? And I noticed that in answering that question, there wasn't really an answering. It was a hearkening back to their particular experiences as to folks telling them what manhood is, but it was never a true definitive answer as to what that would look like. And I think it's very important that we notice that they don't even recognize what the future is going to be. And that's normally the difference between those kinds of panels and panels with men that actually have to have foresight as a responsibility and must actually come out with a solution so everybody else can be saved. They don't necessarily have the true innate responsibility of making sure the nuclear family stays intact to uphold the community, because that's not their interest or their responsibility. That is our interest and responsibility, because we know from experience that's what holds a community up.
Why wouldn't they just do a panel talking about what it means to love other men and let them just discuss that and be subject matter experts? I don't know. It's kind of weird.
Because gay niggas will take that shit left too.
I think it's actually it's our responsibility, quite honestly, to be able to challenge, or in a better word, dominate their media savvy. They put these kinds of things out and have the media arms to make it go viral and conduct those rooms. In order to do that, we should also do the same. Like, saying like these are real aspects and ideas from actual Black men, however you want to say it, but they've had probably about a 40-year head start of trying to effeminize.
But Fresh, they got a political push,
You're
it's
right.
backed by media campaigns from like,
You're right.
So Conscious Lee was exposed to getting paid by the Democrats. I'm sure the people in that room are either in think tanks or highly like influential within that party or attached to influential people. That's how they're able to push these messages, and then turn around and they blame the men who won't accept it and say, "Well, y'all just not ready to be led by women yet." Like,
I think it's
like, bro.
I think it's the headline that we need to listen to Black women. That's not an attack necessarily on them. I just think, again, until brothers recognize that the demasculation is happening, you have men consciously second guessing what it is to be a man. You have men struggling to literally stand on their thoughts, their beliefs. And so that's strategic. The mere fact that they had a conversation, I don't know, I can't speak for you guys, but if I was even invited and that dude was there and made himself known, yo, he's an op. There's nothing else to talk about. Take my mic off, turn the camera off. I'm exiting stage left, because there's nothing that's going to be edified in this conversation, because you already set it up to do exactly what the masses want to see. They want to see men stand on something, but the moment you put pressure on these said men, they ain't got nothing to stand on. Every single dude in there pander, every single dude folded. That's not men, not the ones I know, not what I stand for. So yeah, man, it's strategic. Yeah, and yeah,
I'm shocked that these people who set these panels up this way don't put like one real nigga on the panel.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's unbalanced.
It's because the clips alone, you know what I'm saying? Like, you put one of us on a panel like that with those niggas, it doesn't go that way.
They simply could not afford to do it, because the virality would tip everything on its head. People would begin to ask questions, and then it would open up a larger conversation that goes away from the agenda.
Yep.
I mean, just imagine if Kevin was in there, RIP, like they would be listening to him constantly and then trying to blow up on him, but the damage would have been done because everybody else outside of that would have been having different conversations.
Well, I think that another part that we forget is that when, a bunch of women talk to each other and, like online, they talk to men and get disrespectful the same way the sissy did on the panel. You put again, we're talking about, we got to say someone equally famous celebrity-wise. Put Andre Ward in there. He's very, very pro-man, pro-masculinity. That conversation goes differently. But he's not going to raise his voice like that at Andre Ward or John Jones or any of them other guys. Like, they're not going to treat them like that. Because one of the things about being masculine is when you have conversations with other masculine men, there is an inherent and implied level of violence that can be achieved if the conversation goes too far left. And that's what happens when those guys have those conversations. It's like a bunch of women talking to men because they think that most men won't slap the shit out of a woman. if you put any of us on that panel and stuff goes that way, we're not going to be emotional about it, but we will say, sir, we can step outside if you just want to have a different conversation. But if you don't, then keep this shit respectful, or this is going to happen. And then we will also enforce those consequences when it's required, when it's necessary, when we deem it necessary. That space is a safe space for niggas to get like that with. If you put one of those dudes on a panel with all of us, that conversation goes differently, because they understand at the end of the day, we're all men, and however you feel about women, we are still men, and at least one of us is going to apply the force doctrine when disrespect us rears his head.
Didn't somebody just get smacked today?
Huh?
Somebody just got smacked today for being disrespectful.
As they should. But crazy, you saw the girl who does all those pranks where she's acting like a stud and she's trying to charge niggas up, and she charged up somebody and he smacked the shit out of her, and she turned back into a girl. Her titties came out, like the sports bras popped off, and then she was like, man, it's just a prank. It's just a prank. And the dude was like, man, y'all lame as hell for this, because I almost shot you. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, that shit is only safe on those panels, or like when it's like a controlled environment by a woman, and they go in there and she hen picks men that are safe, that are going to agree with the things she agrees with. And I'm shocked to see Clifton Powell be part of that on that side so many times, given the fact that he's also been an ain't shit nigga in his real life, as far as being like what women would call a toxic nigga. I'm so shocked that he was in line with so many of those pro women like talking points. Like, women shouldn't be leaders. Women shouldn't have to lead anything. That's not their job. That's not what they were made for. And then trying to put women in these positions where they are in charge and the leadership, if you just look out historically, they're setting them up to fail. So these people saying let's dismantle the patriarchy is crazy, because if there was no patriarchy, none of those niggas would have a voice. Nothing they say would matter. They wouldn't be famous. They would have never been actors. They would have never had the success they had, because that stemmed from the patriarchy. Then we'd be watching that panel with like Regina King, Halle Berry, and all of them saying Vivica Fox and all of those like older actors, because it'd be a matriarchy at that point. So then the women would have the voices. So these niggas saying that, man, like, it's either got to be for money or vagina access. Like, I can't see why men would just outright go against their nature and then their live like what they see in mass amongst men, unless it's for pussy or profits, like Fresh said.
Look, I said it before, and it was they were about that bottom dollar, man. That's why I made the statement of I would have loved to been in that room with the cameras not on and just hear what they have to say for real. And I know Trev said, he thinks 4 of them would probably just remain the same. But I don't know, Trev. I really don't. I don't think they would. I think some of the conversation will be dramatically different if that was the case.
Yeah, behind the scenes, they was talking about how they got to go buy tampons and shit.
And we get to these couple of super chats. Shout out to King Bob 6711 We need to check men like him at the door. He definitely with the sisterhood. Shout out to the sponsor of the show, Infinite Source Management, with the $49.99. Appreciate the talk, brothers. I want to thank you, sir. Appreciate that. Do me a favor, hit the like button on your way out. Let's make sure we support everybody in the panel. We're going to kick up part 2 Thursday. We're going to have the ladies on the panel, and we're going to open some more of that discussion up thoroughly and seeing what we can come with. And we're going to focus on what's actually being said and not the individuals, so we can have a productive conversation on that one. Cool? All right.
Forward.
Appreciate you guys, and thank you.